everyone, this is my first video and I hope you like it. Also, please don't mind any mistakes. I'm still pretty young, so I'm not the best reader, but just try to relax and imagine the book. Anyway, all credits to the author and the book. I will read the name and the author at the end of the video, so yeah. The dream is too long. It slithers and slips and gurgles deeply into midnight pools in which I see my own face looking back. It pounds with a scream that crashes into earth-torn caverns and is drowned. It surges with the babble of voices that splash against my ears. It whispers over words I can't understand. I have cried out in my dream. I have called, and ages ago someone answered. Mom? Mama? My voice violently shakes the dream. I open my eyes as with trembling roar, the dream rushes from my mind and my memory. I'm in bed, but this is not my room. Across the room is the statue of a nurse. Her pencil is held in midair above her chart. Her mouth is open enough that I can see some bubbles of saliva on her tongue. Her eyes are stretched and glazed. Where's my mother? The statue comes to life. Oh, she says. Oh my, you're awake. Fluttering like a moth between too many lights, she pats at my bed, jabs at the controls that rest on the nightstand, and trots to the door. I'll be right back, Stacy, she says. She takes it a step toward me with palms up as though she wanted to hold me where I am, and repeats, I will. I'll be back in a minute, then scrambles through the door. Where's my mother? I call to the empty room. I try to sit up, but I can't. It makes me dizzy. My mouth is dry, and there's a spot on my left hip that is sore. What is happening to me? The blanket and sheet have slipped to one side, so I pull them up to my chest. I gasp as my hands feel breasts that are rounded and firm. My shaking fingers slide past my waist, exploring as the horror grows. I lift my head to look down at toes that lump the blanket near the foot of the bed, and the horror explodes in a scream. I'm Stacey McAdams. I'm only 13 years old, and I'm in the wrong body. My room explodes with people, and they buzz like white-capped bees, reaching for my wrist, wrapping things around my left arm, and squeezing it until something beeps. And all the time I'm shouting, go away, I want my mother. A man with a trim blonde beard sorts himself out from the confusion. He leans over me, studying me from under shaggy eyebrows, one hand gently stroking my forehead. Stacy, he says, in a voice that pours like dark molasses. I'm Dr. Peterson. I don't want to sedate you. I want to talk with you. Will you please stop shouting? I'm trembling so hard it feels as if the bed were shaking, and my voice is a raspy whimper. Where's my mother? I need my mother. I'm afraid. Of course you are, he says, but you don't need to be afraid. Everything will be all right. His hand keeps soothing my forehead, sopping up the fear until the trembling is gone and the bed is still. The nurses have disappeared, except for a short, round one standing by the door. For some reason, I notice that her blue eyes are surrounded by crinkly laugh lines, so I don't mind if she stays. Dr. Peterson sits on the edge of my bed. My right hand disappears into his. Now then, he says, the members of your family are being contacted. They'll be here as soon as they can make it. My mother. But he hasn't finished. You're in Houston's Race Forest Medical Center under my care. You were brought here after hospital treatment for a gunshot wound. I groan and screw up my face, trying to think, trying to remember. Relax, he says. It doesn't matter now if you recall what happened. That can come later. The fact is that you've come out of what can best be called a semi-comatose state, a type of coma. Dr. Peterson, listen to me. I clutch both his hands, and my voice grates like a rusty gate. There's something wrong. My body. It's not right. You were 13 when you were brought here, Stacy. We've tried to keep you in a good state of health, as good as your condition would allow, so your body has grown and matured naturally. But I am 13. He shakes his head. No, Stacy, you're 17. When your mother comes, she'll tell you that you're wrong. I don't want to listen to what he has to say. I try to tell him to go away, but I can't talk and cry at the same time, and the tears get in my way. He reaches to the table by my bed and hands me a fistful of tissues. They're soft, but they're heavy. My hands are heavy, my eyes are heavy, and the bed is a warm cocoon shutting away the things I don't want to hear and see. Deliberately, I slide into sleep. This time I wake slowly, scrunching up my eyes, stretching and twisting and arching the way I like to do. You wake up just the way Pansy does, my mother always says as she shoos our lop-eared cat off the foot of my bed and tussles my hair. Stacy, our other little cat. Stacy, you're awake? I open my eyes quickly at the sound of my father's voice. Oh, Daddy, you're here. You're here. I need you. He quickly wraps me in a long hug. His chest under his smooth white cotton shirt smells cozy and warm, but my cheek grows wet from his tears. I hold him away, puzzled. Daddy, I've never seen you cry. There are hollows under his cheekbones, and his brown eyes seem strangely faded. His hair is thin on top. He is my father, but he isn't my father, at least not the way he was yesterday. Daddy, the doctor told me I've been here for 4 years, that I'm not 13, I'm 17. It's not true, is it? But as I study my father's face, I know it has to be true, and I gasp. How did it happen to me? Nobody completely understands it, not really. You were shot and the bullet did something to you that caused a kind of coma, but you didn't need life support. You were breathing on your own, and your vital signs were good. It's just that you were in a world of your own, and you couldn't or wouldn't leave it. The people here were able to help you sit in a chair and walk and even feed yourself if someone was with you. You have a physical therapist who has worked with you on exercises every day. I don't remember any of this. He pats my hand. I know, sweetheart. Mentally, you weren't responding. Then why did I wake up? He shakes his head. No one knows exactly. They can just guess. You fell and cut your hip. Then last week you developed an infection in the cut, and the doctors treated it with antibiotics and even some minor surgery. They think that maybe it was the reaction to the anesthetic that brought you out of the coma. I'm doing a bad job of telling you about it, I guess. Dr. Peterson can do a better job of explaining it to you than I can. My father wipes his cheeks with the back of his hand, then spots the box of tissues, wads one, and rubs it over his eyes. The door opens, and a familiar face peers through. Donna's the original. I'm the carbon. That beautiful dark hair, those tilted green eyes, Dad would say, and wink at Mom. We've certainly got lovely daughters, Jean. Donna shyly whispers, Stacy? Donna! I hold out my arms to my sister, laughing as she hurries to the door. She clumsily bumps against the end of the bed as she rushes to hug me. I like your hair that way, I mumble against her ear, but don't ever scold me again about munching Twinkies. You're getting fat, big sister. She sits back and beams at me. Her tucked-in smile reminds me of so many times when she has been where I couldn't follow. Her first dance, the red-haired basketball player she thought she was in love with when she was 16, the dorm friend she wrote about when she started college. I'm pregnant, she says. In just 2 months, you're going to be an aunt. My mouth is open, and I know I'm making owl eyes, but I don't know what to say. Last year, she said, Dennis and I were married. She glances at Dad from the corners of her eyes. I had to promise that I'd get my degree, and I will, in May of next year. See, Dad? I'm keeping the promise. But I wasn't there, I wail. I was going to be your maid of honor. You always told me I could be. She holds the palm of my hand up against her cheek. She's still smiling, but I see a terrible sorrow in her eyes. Stacy, love, things were, well, so different. Dennis and I didn't have a big wedding, just a few people and the priest. But you always said when you were married, you'd have a train 6 feet long, and loads of bridesmaids, all in blue, and wear the pearls that Grandma left to Mom. Dad clears his throat as though he were about to say something, but Donna interrupts. It doesn't matter, she says. She shakes her head, lays my hand gently on the blanket as though it were made of fine china, and awkwardly gets to her feet, one hand pressing the small of her back. I can't wait till you meet Dennis. Dennis Crosby. Hey, you'll have to get used to my new name. She walks to the door, turning to say, He's patiently biding time out in the hall because I wanted to see you first. Dennis enters the room, and Donna props open the door. He's tall with skin tanned the color of his reddish-brown hair, and he has a summer smell with lots of soap and showers. I'll bet he plays tennis. I've met you before, he says, when you were sleeping. You came to see me? Lots of times with Donna. She introduced us and she talked to you about our wedding, just in case you could hear her. Your family talked to you about everything that went on. Maybe she was part of my dream. There were so many voices, and they came and went for so long a time. I can't remember what they said. I don't want to remember. He's smiling too, so I hurry to add, Donna told me about the baby. I'm glad you're going to have a baby. So are we. He hugs Donna in such a special way that I ache right in the middle of my chest. I wasn't there when she fell in love, and when she got married, and when she first found out she was going to have a baby. I have to get used to all this at once, and it makes me feel lonely and shut out, no matter what they tell me. I take a long breath, trying to keep things going right. I'll babysit for you whenever you want. I guess I should say I'll babysit if Mom gives me a chance. She'll be so crazy about that baby the rest of us might not get to hold it until it's old enough to go to school. No one laughs. No one answers. There's a funny kind of chill, like when you open the freezer door on a hot day and the icy air spills over your feet. When's Mom coming? My words plop into the cold. Where is Mom? Dr. Peterson is suddenly there, head forward, his shaggy eyebrows leading the way like the prow of a ship. Donna and Dennis, he says, will keep your visit short. Why don't you come back to see Stacy tomorrow? Donna quickly kisses me. Dennis pats my feet, and they disappear before I can protest. The door swings shut, and the room is silent. Dr. Peterson lifts my wrist in strong fingers and looks at his watch. I tried to tuck my arm away from him. You interrupted, I tell him. I was asking a question, and I wanted an answer. Take this, he orders. He hands me a pill and a glass of water from the table. Not now. Yes, now. As I obey, quickly gulping the pill, he nods at my father, and Dad leans forward, holding my hand again. His skin is clammy and hot, and he has to clear his throat a couple of times before he can talk. Honey, he says, all along we've had faith in you. We know you wouldn't give up. Remember even when you were just a little girl and you'd be so independent and set on getting your own way? You've always had a lot of courage, Stacy, and... Daddy, tell me now, where's Mom? He's hurting, and I can't help him. I don't even want to help him. My toes and fingers are warm and relaxed, and a numb feeling is seeping through me. It's like the drowsy waking sleeping in the early morning after the alarm has been turned off. But I'm awake, and I hear what he's saying. The day you were shot. His words are jagged pebbles on a dry, dusty road, and his voice trips as he stumbles through them. Your mother was shot too. And Jean? Oh, Stacy, Jean was killed. No, I answer, because I don't believe these strange words that are as hollow as shouts inside a tunnel, ringing and echoing and sliding away. My father is gray and crumpled, and he's crying. I try to pat his hand with fingers that are too heavy to lift. Something is wrong. Maybe it's still part of the dream, and I'll wake up and tell Mom about this crazy dream while we're making breakfast, and she'll give me a little swat on my backside and say, for goodness sake, stop talking and eat. You're going to be late for school. Tell me everything that happened, I murmur, wanting the dream to be complete. No one has told me. It takes a few minutes for my father to answer. His voice seems farther away, but I clearly hear every word. Donna said you were going to the backyard to sunbathe, he begins. I remember. I was wearing my new red shorts, and I had Pansy with me. There wasn't any smog, and it was a golden day, and I wanted a head start on my tan. We don't know what happened next, he says. Donna went to the grocery store down at the boulevard to get a couple of things. She came home and found that the front door was unlocked. Your mother was lying in the den. Donna said she screamed at Jean to get up, but she didn't move. Donna telephoned for an ambulance, and then she remembered you. She ran outside and found you lying on the grass near the back porch steps. I hear the words, but I don't feel them. I'm in a tunnel, but I can still hear what Dad says, except that his words get mixed up with the other sounds and voices that are in my head. There is a weird noise, like a yelp. It's coming from inside our house. But a hand begins stroking my forehead. A deep voice says, go to sleep now, Stacy. Relax and sleep. I want to open my eyes, but I can't. I run toward our back porch, and the screen door bangs open. Somebody runs out. He stares at me. Is she asleep? Dad asks, and the voice murmurs, not yet. This guy on the porch stares at me. I can't see his face, but I know he's staring. I feel it. The way words and ideas I need to know seem to sift through my skin and pour into my mind. He's scared. I know that too. Daddy, did they catch him? Don't worry about that now, he says. But did they? I have to know. No, he says. They couldn't find out who it was. There were no witnesses. It's harder and harder to speak. There's a humming in my head, and it moves Dad farther and farther away. I whisper, wondering if my whisper is real or only in my head. I'm a witness. I saw him, Daddy. Hush, Stacy, Daddy says. Don't try to talk now. Go to sleep. The sounds in my mind melt together and dissolve the words. I'm so tired. I don't even remember having a dream in which I felt tired. I wonder what my mother will tell me about this dream. I hope you guys liked the video, and there were some mistakes, and please forgive me if I said some words wrong. But anyway, the book is called The Other Side of Dark, and it's made by Joan Lowery Nixon. And I am going to be reading chapters maybe every few days or, weeks and stuff. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good day or night, and welcome to my channel. Bye.